Hi everyone, it's Sandy, and today's video is my spring book haul. This is a collective book haul of all the books that I accumulated since the end of August. I haven't posted a book haul in months because I haven't been buying a lot of books, but I finally accumulated enough books where I think it's definitely worth showing in a book haul. So here I am with a book haul. I also have a handful of packages to open in this video, so I'm going to do that towards the end. I'm going to start off with the books that aren't in packages. The first book that I got is The Truth About Alice by Jennifer Mathieu. I've heard about this book for a really long time, but I never got around to picking it up or buying a copy. And so when I went to Half Price Books one day, I saw this book. I saw that it was $1, and because it was so cheap, I immediately bought it. And Jennifer Mathieu is the author of Moxie, which is her newest release, and I haven't read Moxie yet, but I really want to, and I believe that this is her debut novel. All I know about this book is that it deals with rumors and slut-shaming, and it focuses on a girl named Alice, which the blurb describes as being a slut, and that everyone knows that she slept with 2 guys at a party. So this book centers around her, but it follows the perspective of 4 different people in her life. I think that's a really unique and interesting way of storytelling, so I definitely look forward to reading this book. This is also a pretty short book too, so I definitely will get through it fast, and I do hope to pick it up soon. The next book that I picked up is Zenith by Sasha Alsberg and Lindsay Cummings. There was a book tour for Zenith, and Sasha and Lindsay did end up coming to Chicago for the first stop, and so I wanted to go to the signing to support these authors and also see some friends that were there. I haven't read this book yet, but it has been described as being similar to Guardians of the Galaxy, but with an all-female cast of space pirates. I think that sounds really interesting. I do want to read it, but I just haven't gotten the chance to read it yet. The next book that I got is Immortal by Rhodes. This is the 6th and final book in the Fallen Kingdoms series, which is one of my favorite fantasy series. I know that Fallen Kingdoms has a lot of mixed reviews, but I personally really love it. Every time I describe Fallen Kingdoms, I always have a very difficult time doing so, but Fallen Kingdoms is a fantasy series following multiple point of views. We have the point of view of a princess, a prince, a sorceress, and a rebel, and so much more. As each book goes on, we're introduced to a whole new set of characters, and I love seeing how all these storylines come into one by the very end of the book. So I actually did finish this book in March, so I'll talk more about it in my March wrap-up. The next book that I got is Obsidio, the 3rd and final book in the Illuminae files by Amie Kaufman and Kristoff. I'm going to give a quick synopsis of the first book, Illuminae, since this is the 3rd book, but the first book follows Katie and Ezra, who have just broken up, and then their planet is invaded. They end up getting separated from one another, and so they're on different spaceships trying to communicate with one another and figure things out, basically. I think this whole series is so unique and it's incredible, and I've also finished the 3rd book in March, so I'll talk more about it in my March wrap-up. The next book that I got is Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I ended up doing a books for trade with this book, and I'm so happy because this is one of my most anticipated releases of 2018. I know that the author has been describing this book as being Black Panther, but with magic. This book follows Zaylee, who is working to bring magic back to her people with the help of a rogue princess. This book sounds incredible, and I've heard so many amazing things about this book. Since I've been pretty busy with classes, I haven't had the chance to read this book yet, but once the semester ends, you bet I will be picking this book up because I'm just so excited, and it's killing me that I haven't read it yet. Also, look how beautiful it looks naked. And there's even a freaking map. Now it is time to open some packages. The first couple packages are books that I ordered from Barnes & Noble because Barnes & Noble recently had a buy 3 hardcover books for $10 each, and because of that sale I just couldn't resist, so I bought a couple books. One of those actually happened to be Immortal, but I already opened the package for that. So this is the first package. There's a pull. Am I surprised? No. I just like punched myself in the chest, which kind of hurt, but okay. Alright, I don't know what book is in here. I think I just saw it. Yes. Okay, a bunch of papers just came out, but this book is a book that I've been wanting for a really long time, and it is Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. This book is a YA mystery thriller book, and it takes place at a private school called Ellingham Academy. The school opened in 1936, and shortly after it opened, the wife and daughter of the founder were actually kidnapped, and the only clue left behind was a riddle that was signed Truly Devious. And so now this book takes place years later, following our main character Stevie, who is a true crime aficionado. She is determined to solve this kidnapping case, and then some strange things happened, people start dying, and Truly Devious had made a return. I've also heard really great things about this book, and you all know how much I love reading mystery thriller books, so I definitely look forward to picking this book up soon. So this is the next box, and there are 2 books in here. The first one is Autobiography by Christina and I've heard really good things about this book from Joss, aka Squibbles Reads. This book follows a high school senior named Tanner who has hidden his bisexuality since his family moved to Utah. He ends up taking a writing seminar where he meets Sebastian, who is a Mormon that's mentoring the students in the class, and Tanner ends up falling for Sebastian. And the last book that I got from Barnes & Noble is Warcross by Marie-Lou. I read this book at the end of 2017 and I ended up really loving it. This book follows Emma Kachen, who is a bounty hunter and a hacker, and she ends up hacking herself into the Warcross Championships, which is this virtual reality game that's super popular and everyone plays it. She thinks she's going to be arrested, but she ends up being offered a job opportunity from the creator of the game himself. The next book is coming out later this year, I believe, and it's actually a duology, so the next book is going to be the final book, and I definitely look forward to reading that. But if you haven't read this book yet, I highly recommend that you check it out. The rest of the books that I'm going to be showing are books that I did books for trade with, so I traded some of my books for other people's books. The first book is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. All I know about this book is that it follows a character named Jude whose parents were killed when she was younger, and she, along with her two other sisters, were taken to the world of fairy. To be honest, I'm kind of hesitant to read this book because I wasn't a fan of Holly Black's previous books. I just don't connect with Holly Black's writing and her characters very much, but I've heard a lot of good things about this book, so I am interested in picking it up, but it's definitely not a priority for me. So hopefully sometime this summer I'll get around to reading it and seeing what I think of it, because I have a lot of friends who really loved it and I do want to love it too. So this is the next package and I don't remember what's in it, so let's see. This book is wrapped in bubble wrap. This is fun and I want to do this all day. Alright, but moving on to the book. I actually traded an arc for another arc. I really don't care for collecting arcs very much, but this was a book that I wanted to read, and the book that I got is Renegades by Marissa and Meyer. I actually wasn't super excited about the release of this book. Granted, this book did come out while I was studying abroad, so I was completely separated from the book world, so I really wasn't paying attention to any of the new releases coming out during the fall of 2017. But since I got back from studying abroad, I've been hearing the premise of this story and I've been hearing other people's reviews of it, and I've been mostly hearing pretty positive reviews about this book. What I know about this book is that it follows two different groups. I can't remember one of the names of the groups, but one of them is called Renegades, and so this is kind of a story where the line between hero and villain is blurred. I think that just sounds super interesting and I can't wait to read this book. This is the package for the next book. I already cut it open and I do know what's in here, but the book is Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. This is, I believe it's now the 6th book in the Throne of Glass series. This was originally going to be a novella following Kale's character, but Sarah J. Maas just ended up writing a lot and I think it's now its own book. I haven't read this book yet and I believe the last book in the series is coming out the fall of this year, so I definitely need to get around to finishing this book so I can finish the series. I've only seen a couple people on BookTube talk about this book and they said that they loved it, but I haven't really heard much of what other people think about it. So this is the very last package and there are 2 books in here, that's what I know. The first book in the package is Alex and Eliza by Melissa de la Cruz. This is a story that tells how Alexander Hamilton and Elizabeth Schuyler met, and I'm pretty sure it shows like the beginning stages of their relationship. This is actually the first book in a trilogy, I believe. I know that there are more than one book, but I'm not sure how many books will be in the series. I remember that a couple months after this book came out, I picked up the audiobook, but I had a really hard time getting into it. So I DNF'd the audiobook, but I was still interested in continuing on with the story. So I traded for a copy of it so that I can read it myself. And the very last book in my book haul is The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. This book follows Alice, whose mother is stolen away by a figure who claims to come from the supernatural world where her grandmother's stories are set. This book has gotten some hype, but I've actually heard a lot of mixed reviews about this book, so I'm definitely hesitant to go into it, but I am interested in the story and plot, and hopefully I enjoy it. That is it for my spring book haul. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you've read any of the books that I mentioned, please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching this video, and I will see you next time. Bye!